Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Monta Noble. This watch is available from montawatch.com for $1,760. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with the piece. So the Monta Noble comes in a watch box which is protected by this black cardboard outer box. As you can see, it has Monta and the brand emblem on the top, which is very aesthetically pleasing. One removes the lid, pulls down the flap, and the watch box is protected by this foam panel, as you can see. So I'll remove the watch box and show it to you. Very similar presentation to Rolex watch boxes. Now, this is one of the best quality watch boxes I have reviewed on my channel. I absolutely love the Monta brand emblem. It's absolutely beautiful. High gloss piano lacquer finish to the solid wooden box, and this makes a refreshing change from plastic or vinyl coated watch boxes. It actually reminds me of Rolex watch boxes. It has a microfiber polishing cloth inside, as you can see, and the watch sits on a padded pillow cushion, which is very similar to the padded pillow cushion used by Rolex and Tudor. So the presentation is outstanding, and I really like the quality of the watch box. Straight away it creates an impression that the Monta Noble is a high quality piece. With regards to other items, one also gets another microfiber polishing cloth, which is Monta branded, as you can see. Always a nice touch to get a branded microfiber polishing cloth, irrespective of the price point of a piece. One gets this thank you card, and it says Swiss made, and that is indeed true. The Monta Noble is made in Switzerland. And on the reverse it says thank you for your purchase, and it also details how to contact Monta for service. So nice presentation, nice attention to detail. And lastly, one also gets this wallet, and inside we have the plastic Monta guarantee card. Now this is a press sample piece, and as you can see it's filled in with online demo rather than being stamped with a date of purchase. But if you purchase this watch from montawatch.com, they will fill in the serial number of the piece, the reference number, and also the date of purchase and stamp it. And I'm pleased to report that the watch is covered by a 12-month international guarantee, which is very reassuring. So, with regards to the specifications of the piece, this is the Monta Noble, 38.5mm case diameter. It has a 47mm lug-to-lug measurement, a thickness of 9.7mm, and it has a lug width of 20mm. The oyster style bracelet tapers from 20mm at the lugs down to the flip block clasp, which is signed to a high standard with the Monta brand emblem. Absolutely flawless finishing, beautiful luster to the brush satin finishing to the top side, underside and flanks, as you can see. Nice large chamfer machined to the edge of the clasp, which has a nice heavy gauge of metal. This is a very high grade clasp, and I would describe the quality of this clasp to be Rolex level. The quality of the finishing is also Rolex level. So I'll open it and show it to you because it really is very impressive. As you can see, the interior is solid MIL 316L grade stainless steel, polished to a flawless standard on the top side, underside and flanks, and even the interior is signed to a high standard with Monta, which is engraved, as you can see. Now, one feature I really like about this, and Monta deserve full credit for it, because it's very unusual to see this detail at a price point within the mid-tier. This is $1,760. It has a ratcheting mechanism built into the interior, as you can see, which is very similar to the Rolex Glide Lock. I'm just going to open it to its maximum and show you. You'll see the similarity to the Glide Lock. It has grooves on the interior of the body of the clasp. So rather like the Glide Lock, it has a ratcheting mechanism. One can feel clicks, so one can fine tune the length of the bracelet using the ratcheting mechanism. It feels very similar to a Rolex Glide Lock, and it operates with clicks which are very smooth. And it really is very well executed. They deserve full credit for coming up with an original design and a very well executed on the fly adjustment mechanism. So I really like the mechanism, which is similar to the Glide Lock. It's just absolutely fantastic. Nice positive click to lock it into position after sliding the adjuster. So this really is something innovative, and I think they deserve full credit for it. Good positive click to the clasp, and also good positive secondary click to the flip block. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So with regards to the rest of the specification, flat sapphire crystal with AR coating on the underside, and this is some of the best performing anti-reflective coating I have seen on a watch. Highly effective. The silver applied indices and also the silver hands are highly reflective, as is the silver frame around the date complication. But the AR coating on the underside of the sapphire crystal does an outstanding job of reducing that glare and highly reflective nature of the silver applied indices and silver hands. The dial is one of my favourite aspects. It's sunburst blue, but it's also graduated. It fades from a lighter blue in the centre of the dial to a darker navy blue on the circumference, and it is absolutely gorgeous the way the graduated sunburst blue dial changes colour in the light. It's just one of the most beautiful graduated sunburst dials I have seen. I like the fact that Monta haven't over-branded the dial with unnecessary text and specification. We simply have Monta and the brand emblem at 12 o'clock, and at 6 o'clock it says self-winding, and it has the water resistance rating of 150 metres. The case finishing and the polishing on this head of the piece is just incredible. It really is Rolex level. Flawless mirror polishing to the bezel, and we also have flawless brush satin finishing to the flanks of the case, the tops of the lugs and the underside of the case. Beautiful large chamfer machine throughout the length of the case, which marks the transition between the flanks and the tops of the lugs. It just is absolutely gorgeous. It's the kind of case finishing that one would expect to see on a Tudor or Rolex piece. It really is that level of quality. In the bracelet we have female pivoted end links, which are excellent. Beautiful articulation, and as you can see, no play whatsoever, good tight fit to the case. They allow the end of the bracelet to articulate and pull snug to the wrist. So it's nice to see they haven't used male end links, they've used female pivoted end links. The quality of this bracelet finishing is Rolex level. That is no exaggeration. This really is a level above low tier and even mid tier finishing. It's the kind of finishing one would expect to see on a high tier piece costing in excess of €5,000. I've previously owned a Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41, and I can tell you that the finishing to this bracelet is equal to the finishing on my Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41. That is the level of quality we are talking about. It's just absolutely gorgeous. No sharp edges whatsoever. Nice chamfer machine to the edges. It's just done to perfection. Screw pins in the bracelet rather than push pins, so no cost-cutting measures. And the attention to detail is excellent because they have included 2 half links in the end of the bracelet. That's something that a lot of brands within the mid-tier do not do. They only have full links. With the half links, one can fine-tune the length of the bracelet to perfection. And on the other side of the clasp, we have another half link, as you can see. So 3 half links in the bracelet. One can get the perfect fit, and I have sized this bracelet to fit my wrist to perfection. Now, with regards to the screw-down exhibition case back, it's another one of my favourite aspects. Glazed with sapphire crystal, it provides an effective hermetic seal to 150 metres, and it does a good job of displaying the movement used, which is the Monta calibre M22. Absolutely gorgeous to look at. Very low profile. This is one of the lowest profile screw-down exhibition case backs I have ever seen on a watch. If you look at it, it is just incredible how low profile it is, perfectly flat. And Monta deserve full credit for this, because as a micro brand, to get a screw down case back so thin and still retain 150 metres of hermetic seal is an incredible achievement. It's one of the greatest screw down exhibition case backs I have seen. So I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now, as I've discussed, I have sized the bracelet. And as you know from my previous reviews, I like to size my watches loose so that I can fit an index finger underneath the bracelet and clasp at all times. That is the correct sizing method because it allows for wrist expansion in warmer weather or when one is active. So one should always be able to slip an index finger underneath the bracelet, and that allows the wrist to expand. Now, I've sized it and I can tell you the comfort level of this watch is incredible. It's one of the most comfortable bracelets and clasps I have ever experienced. And bear in mind, I have reviewed over 150 pieces on my channel. This is one of the most comfortable of all those watches. It's one of the best balanced watches I've ever reviewed. The 38.5mm head of the piece perfectly balances the 20mm lug width. There's a beautiful taper from 20mm at the lugs down to the flip lock clasp. Beautiful luster to the flip lock clasp and beautiful luster to the bracelet. They have got the proportions of the head of the piece done to perfection. Beautiful taper and also nice large chamfer machined to the edge of the case. It's just absolutely gorgeous. I love the silver applied indices and the silver hands with the silver framing around the date complication. Just one of the best looking pieces. The feel good factor and the comfort level of this piece are 10 out of 10. It is just sublime. I actually think the fit and the comfort level of this Monta Noble is superior to my Oyster Perpetual 41, which I previously owned. It just feels absolutely weightless. Now, the heft of the piece is only 141 grams, and as you'll know from my previous reviews, I consider circa 150 grams to be the sweet spot for wrist presence, to give a feeling of heft and quality, but also to have a feeling of comfort when wearing the piece for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day. At 141 grams, this feels weightless. It feels invisible on wrist. And that really is the perfect test. If you close your eyes with a watch on wrist and it feels invisible, if it feels completely weightless, that tells you the balance between the head of the piece and the bracelet is perfect. So they've made the correct decision by using a 20mm bracelet and also a 38.5mm head of the piece. It's just a very comfortable piece to wear, and the comfort level is exceptional. Now, with regards to the hands, I want to talk about these in detail because they deserve full credit for them. These hands are diamond cut and they are rhodium plated. Rhodium is platinum plating. Now, to get rhodium plating on diamond cut hands at a mid-tier price point is incredible. One usually sees diamond cut hands with rhodium plating on high-tier pieces costing in excess of €5,000. To get rhodium plating on hands at $1,760 is just incredible. They deserve full credit for that, and the finishing on the hands is just Rolex level. It really is incredible. So let's do a lume test and we'll see how the lume performs when it's charged up to its absolute maximum. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to its absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it has not disappointed. This is Swiss BGW9 Superluminova, top grade Superluminova. I regard it as equal in quality to Rolex Chromolite. As you can see, it has a very similar blue tone to Chromolite, its BGW9. It's glowing incredibly brightly and it's continuing to glow for a good length of time. It's clear that Monta have not cut any corners with regards to the specification of the Swiss BGW9 Superluminova used. The applied indices are fully lumed, as you can see, as are the baton style hands. Perfect quality lume, and I absolutely love it. I think this is great BGW9 Superluminova. Right, so let's discuss the crown. Knurled finish crown, signed to a high standard with the Monta brand emblem, flawless mirror polishing to the cap of it. Let's test the action. Incredible. This is absolutely silky smooth. The crown action on this Noble is equal to Tudor, Rolex or Omega crown action. It really does feel very similar to a Rolex crown action. No resistance whatsoever to the screw down crown. It's silky smooth. It just unscrews with minimal efforts. It's just beautiful. The movement used is the Monta Caliber M22, which is based upon the Sellita SW300, and therefore it has the characteristic pop. The SW300 pushes the winding stem out of the movement. In the first position, it's the manual wind position, and one can manually wind it to top it up to its maximum 42-hour power reserve. Absolute pleasure to manually wind it. One can feel the tension in the mainspring gradually building up. Pulling it out to the first click position is the quick set date complication. Rotating the crown anti-clockwise advances the quick set. As you can see, if you look at the date complication closely, you can see the quick set complication works as one would expect. Excellent. Pulling it out to the second click position is the time setting position. I really like the Caliber M22, which is based upon the SW300 because it's silky smooth, light resistance to the gearing. It's an absolute pleasure to set the time. It feels very light, the resistance is very smooth, and it's just got a really pleasant feeling to the gearing, very light resistance. It's got hacking, as you can see. I have now hacked the second hand. It's stopped dead. Pushing it back in, it's got a nice positive click which restarts the movement. So I'll test screwing it back down. Immediate thread pickup. This is just incredible. I would say this is one of the best crown actions I have experienced on my channel. Of all the 150 watches I've reviewed, I've actually reviewed over 150. This really is very similar to Rolex quality, and it's very rare to get this quality of crown action on a mid-tier piece. It's just exceptional. Silky smooth, immediate pickup between the internal thread of the solid stainless steel crown and the external thread of the crown tube. The crown provides an effective hermetic seal to 150 meters of water resistance, which is perfectly acceptable for a daily wear piece. 100 meters would be perfectly acceptable, but 150 really is more than one could need. Right, so let's discuss the movement used, because it's one of my favourite aspects of this piece. Now, Monta could have cut corners. They could have cut production costs by using the Sellita SW200-1 as the base for their caliber M22. But they haven't done that. They've actually chosen a more expensive option. They elected to use the Sellita SW300. So to clarify, the Monta caliber M22 is made by Sellita in Switzerland to their own specification, and it's based upon the SW300. Now, I'm going to explain the architecture. The Sellita SW300 has very similar architecture to the ETA 2892, which is one of my personal favourite movements. The ETA 2892 is a high grade of movement, as is the SW300. They are a level above the SW200-1 and the ETA 2824-2 respectively. So they deserve full credit because they didn't use the SW200-1, they used the SW300, a higher grade of movement. The build's quality, the quality control, the materials used are all higher grade. Now, the stated accuracy of this caliber M22 is plus or minus 5 seconds per day, which is actually coming within COSC chronometer limits of -4 to +6 seconds per day. Although they state it as plus or minus 5 seconds per day, they aim to regulate it to better than plus or minus 5 seconds per day to get it within COSC chronometer limits. Now, I'm pleased to report that this one has been regulated to +2 seconds per day, which is just outstanding. That is within COSC chronometer limits. 42-hour power reserve is perfectly acceptable, 25 joules, and it runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz. As I've detailed, it has hand winding and hacking, which are used for complications. Now, if you look closely at it, you can see that Monta have added their own rotor, and it has the brand emblem, and it also has milled stripes for decoration. Absolutely gorgeous rotor to look at, and I'm really delighted it has the M22, which is based upon the SW300. They really deserve credit for that. That's the kind of movement one would expect to see in a piece costing in excess of €3,000. So to get this at €1,760 is incredible. Right, so lastly, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. Yes, this is unquestionably excellent quality, and yes, it is unquestionably excellent value. As I've detailed, I have reviewed over 150 watches on my channel, and I can tell you this is one of the greatest watches I have reviewed. What you're getting with this watch is you're getting a high tier level watch at a mid tier price point. At $1,760, this is incredible value and incredible quality. At $3,000, this would still be incredible quality and incredible value. The quality level of the finishing, the build quality, the quality control are all Rolex level. The crown execution is Rolex level. Rhodium plated diamond cut hands at this price point is just loaded specification. 7 layers of AR coating on the underside of the sapphire crystal, again loaded with specification. And to get a caliber M22, which is based upon the SW300 rather than the SW200-1, again loaded specification. And my favourite feature is the clasp, which again is just very innovative. They've used a mechanism which is very similar to the glide lock as I've shown you. Now, you are not going to get that kind of ratcheting mechanism on a clasp within the mid-tier at $1,760. It's just beautiful the way it snaps shut, and even the sound of the click when one closes the clasp. It reminds me of a Tudor or a Rolex. It's like a Tudor Black Bay, alternatively a Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41. That's the level I'm talking about. It's just incredible. Now, I'm going to say this is unusual in that there are no negatives to this watch whatsoever. There is nothing about this I would change. I love everything about it. They deserve full credit for producing the perfect Monta Noble. And I think this is just an incredible watch. I absolutely love it. So I'm going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money. Now you might be saying, well, how can it be lemonade money when it's 1,760 US dollars? But it really is, because this watch would be a champagne watch for lemonade money if it were 3,000 US dollars. At 1,760 US dollars, you are getting a high tier level piece, which should be 5,000 US dollars for only 1,760 US dollars. Absolutely love it. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Monta Noble. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.